Hello, Renee. Welcome to the Six Comms podcast.
Hi, thank you, Lisa, for inviting me to your new series. I heard.
Yes, it is my new series. Thank you for
Yes.
mentioning that. It is Conversations That Count with Singapore-based professionals. And you are Singaporean and you're
Yes.
Singapore-based and you run your own organization, which is great. And
Yes.
today we're talking all about something that I know a lot of my listeners and people that I meet day to day struggle with, which is showing up on camera. So
Mm.
this episode we've called Confidence on Camera. So
Yes.
really excited to hear all the tips and tricks that you can share with us today. But I just wanted to start off by asking you, how has showing up on camera impacted your life?
Okay, so for me, when I started showing up on camera, I think it was in 2017 or so. It built my confidence definitely because I'm someone who has always been behind the camera for the longest time ever since I started my business. I think, okay, wait, let me see when did I started my business? Okay, 2014. I started my business 2014. And then in 2017, I went in front of the camera because I was looking out for, it was a start of the having the brands being in front of the camera.
Mm.
So definitely showing up on camera impacted my confidence, impacted my authority, definitely in the industry I'm in, which is actually video itself. So it kind of like gives the glimpse of what I do on a daily basis, what my business is all about, what I can actually do for my potential clients. So, and on top of that, definitely it impacted my income because then it gives the connection between myself and the audience that actually watching my videos with the tips and the hacks that I actually share through my videos, my YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've seen you're quite active on the YouTube and your
Yes.
tips are really great. Those tips and hacks, they're great. So, yeah, shout out to that. So, if listeners want to tune in and get some tips and tricks, then definitely tune into that. So, what would you say are like the main benefits of using a video to communicate your message?
I think building on to what I mentioned earlier on about building confidence and building authority is also enhancing the trust between myself and the audience that actually watching my videos whenever I communicate my message through the videos. And when it comes to videos, I always go with the 4 E's, which is actually engaging, emotional, educational, and empathetic. So when it comes to like engaging, it's really about talking about the how do because when you actually watch movies, right, it's video based.
Mm.
So why how is it that you can actually relate to a movie is because it's short story based and it's because it's on video based. So
Mm.
that's how engaging is all about when you tell a stories when and also because our brain is hardwired to engage in storytelling. So when it comes to storytelling, usually it comes with in the form of videos, and video is definitely a great way of telling a story and engage. So that's the engage part of the E. And then for the emotional part, it's more of like connecting more emotionally with your clients, with your prospect through the medium, through the video as a medium. Definitely when people who are on camera and connecting can somehow stimulate that emotion that sometimes written words cannot. So because when it's on video, you are able to see the person on camera smiling, conversing, having that emotions that's attached to the person itself that's on the front of camera, whether they are angry, whether they are happy, whether they are sad. So you kind of like can relate towards the person who's actually in front of the camera because of all these emotions that is being exposed through videos. So having a video, even if it's just like recording your voice, which I think we are doing right now with using a podcast, can also be valuable, can also be something where it can relate to emotions, because then with the voice and also the medium of the content, the valuable content that is being put out, you are able to relate to that message. Yeah, so that's the emotional. And educational, I think almost everyone on this podcast are able to relate to it, because I feel that education is where when videos is being churned out, it is faster than text, because then you are able to do some kind of like tutorials, you can do some kind of like tips and hacks, and you can do webinars. So it's definitely faster than having to put in education in like text memory. And our brain are definitely faster in terms of processing videos compared to text. For me personally, I don't really read, but if I were to if I were to read, I usually speed read. Yeah, so videos for me, it's faster to retain in my brain. I think there are a few people who are definitely more prone to the text based medium, but videos definitely will translate faster in that sense. Yeah, so that's the educational. And as for the empathetic, I think just now I mentioned about establishing the authority, the trust, and also the confidence, because when we put our face out there or when we put the videos out there, it's really putting out a human face. It's not something where the person is behind a logo. You know, when you put out yourself on a video, people are able to relate to you, people are able to see your face. And video, it's something where you can have a real talk conversation, and it's a real language that definitely goes a long way. So that's like empathetic in the video form.
Right. I love that. I love those 4 E's. I'm gonna repeat them. Now you can test if I've actually been really listening, but I am taking
Yes.
notes. Um, so engaging is the first one. Engaging, emotional,
Yeah.
yeah, educational, and
Yeah.
empathetic.
Yes, that's right.
That's
100%.
Yay! I passed the first test. I'm so pleased. So this is the 4E framework that
Yes.
can anyone use if they want to try and create some video for their brand? Use that
Definitely. Yeah.
framework?
Yes, definitely. Because I think it really also depends on the pillars or the content pillars that the brand is having. So for me, I used to just focus on education. And then I tried a few things. I tried giving some kind of like emotional into my videos, where I talk a little bit about my journey being 40s. I talk a little bit about my journey being a caregiver. So I received like feedback telling me that they could actually relate to my story because they are also experiencing the same thing. And I think before you start the recording, we have that kind of conversation,
Yeah.
right? The emotional kind of conversation. So these are some of the things that I started having inside my YouTube videos itself. Also, it's really going beyond having the educational part. Definitely, I still do the educational when it comes to recording videos or video tips or YouTube insights. But aside to that, I also add in the emotional, the empathetic, and also the engaging story part of the videos in my YouTube. So as a brand, you definitely can use these 4 pillars or 4 structure, I would say, because then you were able to know where is usually you are heading towards, whether you are more into the educational part. Usually when you use this 4 structure, right, you will be prone to one portion of the E's. So mine is more of the education, but beyond that, I also share some of my personal journeys. So you can definitely use these 4 E's whenever you want to create your videos, but definitely depending on your content pillars of the videos that you are creating.
Yeah. So it should align with your content
Yes,
pillars.
definitely. Correct.
So as you were going through that, actually, the one that kind of really resonated with me as you were speaking was the empathetic, actually, the last one. And what you were saying around the trust. So it's about
Yes.
that human face
Yeah.
beyond the logo.
Yes.
And just some question that popped into my mind as you were speaking, I noticed that we're both in our backgrounds. This is an authentic background. This is not a
Yes.
virtual background. This is actually my real life bookcase with
Yeah.
my actual books on
Yeah.
display. And I notice in your background, you've got like
Yeah.
a light that's in the shape of a cat,
Yeah.
and you've got a cat and a couple of
Yes.
maybe certificates. It's a bit
Yeah.
blurry.
So yes, those are my certificate. This cap is actually my YouTube cap.
Ah,
So
lovely.
yeah, the YouTube cap, actually I got it when I attended a seminar that YouTube organized for YouTube creators. So it's showcasing a little bit of what I've achieved for the past 10 years in my business. So this is basically my certificates for SME 500 and also the leadership program that I've attended previously. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's so cool.
yeah, I'm really, for me, it's really more of like an authentic background, like same as
Yeah.
yours. And I think yours really relate about books and stuff because I feel you are more into the conversation, like insights and everything. And when I see your walk and talk community, there's a lot of like connection and conversation going on. So it's really relatable.
Yeah. Oh, thank you
Yeah.
for saying that. That's really kind. Thank you. And I love what you said about going beyond the logo and really
Yeah.
like building up that trust. Because
Yes.
often I feel like when I see others that are showing up on video and they're in front of a virtual background, it actually puts me off.
Right.
Yeah, I have a physical reaction to it. I feel
Mm.
like, what are you hiding? Like, this isn't
Mm.
the whole story.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's interesting that we both have those very authentic backgrounds, and maybe
Yes.
something that listeners might like to consider when they're thinking
Yes.
about their backgrounds and what they
Yeah.
put in that background
Yeah.
as
I think
well.
it's also finding the safe space around your house or around your room so that you
Yeah.
can just park a tripod and a camera, and then whenever you want to create videos, you don't have to keep on setting it up. You don't have to keep on putting in the cameras, putting in a tripod. So when you have like that small cute area of yours in the room, I think that's give you the safe space when you want to create videos. Okay, I can just put up my camera, I can just put up my phone, and I just create videos. You don't have to. Sometimes being an introvert, right? Being an introvert, trying to think about setting up the camera, setting up the lighting, setting up the microphone, it's really time consuming and energy draining. So for me personally, I set up a space where I can just turn my body. Okay, this is my camera. I'm just gonna talk to the camera. I don't have to keep on setting up every time I want to create a videos. And this shelf is always there. I don't have to move anything. So whenever I do a video, it's always this angle. Yeah. So
Yeah.
for me personally, I don't mind being, some people say it like a bit rigid because it's always the same space every time. But because I want to keep on creating videos without thinking so much of the setting up, thinking so much
Mm.
of how is the angles going to be like, where should I create the videos now for today or something like that. It's just here. I'm going to do videos here and the message is just going to be the difference. And usually people, when they watch our videos, they want to hear what we say, what's our message. They don't really be bothered about whether you are in the same position or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's a really good point about like the fact that you've got that dedicated space and it's
Yeah.
a safe space for you. You can
Mm.
rely on it. It's
Yeah.
something that's consistent that you can show up in. I just think that's a really top tip. Okay. And I would say, well, apparently I'm an ambivert. So I can't say I'm
Okay.
a fully fledged introvert, but I sit in the middle apparently on the scale. But
I think it's the same for me as well. When I'm actually around full introverts, I'll be the one who's like talking a little bit more. So yeah, but I think it's also because of the nature of our business. Like
mm,
we need to do networking, we need to do going on the videos, going on, have that kind of like one-to-one conversation. Being ambivert is like important because then it's able to propel our business forward.
Yeah, we can
Mm.
adapt. We can adapt, Renee. We're
Yeah.
like, what's that animal that changes color all the
Chameleon. Is it was
a chameleon?
chameleon? Chameleon. Yes,
Yeah, we're
chameleon. Yes. Yeah, we're
chameleons.
chameleons. Yes.
I don't like a label, Renee. I don't like
Yeah.
a label. Okay. So you touched on a really good tip about
Yeah.
knowing that space, creating that safe space. We all have our off days, right? We all
Yeah.
have days where we're just not in the mood, right?
Yes.
But do you have any like tips on how you can prepare yourself other than creating that safe space
Mm.
where you can show up positively in front of the camera?
For me, I am a structured and a routine kind of person. So I have my schedule days. So when I mention schedule days is I will schedule the way I create videos in a month, let's say.
Mhm.
So when I create videos for a monthly basis, kind of videos where it usually it goes out every week. And when I create those videos, I will schedule in such a way that I divide it into a few days. So day one, I will do research. So research can be what kind of topics I wanna talk about in my videos. And then day two, it will be all about writing. So writing means I will write my scripts, I will write my descriptions, I will write my captions, I will write my articles. So I will put all the brain power of writing into one day. And then the next day, on the third day, is my recording. So all my videos that I've already script, I will record in one day as well. And then after that, day four will be editing. And then day five will be scheduling. Like, for example, it will disperse into a few, what do you call it, social media platforms
Mm.
or different days and different timings. So that is how I prepare myself. And I used to actually do writing, recording, editing, scheduling in the same day, but that actually led me to burnout,
Mm.
which I didn't want that to happen anymore. So, but definitely there are people who are not able to do, I would say, content batching like this or divide it into days. But my tip is that find the sweet spot. Because, for example, myself, right, I'm quite weak in writing. So I spend a little bit more time on
Mm.
writing. Yeah. So my number of hours of writing can be like 3, 4 hours just writing only. But I'm more comfortable into recording videos and editing videos. But there are business owners out there who are not really comfortable in recording videos or editing videos. So maybe they may need to spend a little bit more time on doing that. So really find your sweet spot. Just take, if you're actually hearing this on podcast, just take whatever I mentioned and then see where you can actually fit in into your schedule. Then at the end of the day, it's really more of consistency, showing up positively on videos, because at the end of the day, your audience wants to hear what you have for this week or this month. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's how I prepare myself.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that's a great little day by day little plan there that you
Yeah.
can, as you say, you can learn from that. You can try that out and
Yeah.
experiment with it
Mm.
and see what
Mm.
works for you.
Yes, correct.
Excuse me. That seems for my brain very organized. Or maybe I'm a little bit too on the creative, organic side where I'd be like, oh my God, I wouldn't stick to that, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my, but then again, we all have our strengths and areas that
Yes,
we're better
definitely.
at. And I think
Yeah.
that's a really good point that you make about really knowing yourself and what are your
Correct.
strengths and also what you enjoy and when you're at your best during the day,
Mm.
depending on your setup. Because I find that
Definitely.
morning, 3 children, they're at
Yeah.
school. And morning, I'm just more awake and alert and
Yeah.
ideas flow much better than
Yes.
say in the
Yes.
afternoon. But some people are better at working in the evening. So it's like
Yeah.
finding that, as you
Yeah.
say, that sweet spot.
Sweet spot. Yeah, definitely. Because if I may share a story of a friend of mine who's actually running a business as well, for her, it's really on the go. She can't do content batching. So she's more of like, she have a consistent or a dedicated space for her to record videos. So if she has an idea, she will just turn and then just record a video. So it's really more about finding what you are more comfortable. At the end of the day, avoid, if anything else fails, right, just really avoid burnout, because
Yeah.
burnout really is something where business owners don't want to go through, because then your creative juices will be drained out. You just don't want to do anything. So at all costs, try to avoid burnout as much as possible.
Yeah, true. Now, this next question is quite a
Yes.
big one. Um, so is there a way, there might be people listening to this that are thinking, oh God, I know the benefits of showing up on video. I really want to show up more and show
Yeah.
my face and be the face of my brand or my
Yeah.
business, or perhaps your organization has asked you to show up a bit more in video
Yeah.
and you're really not feeling very confident.
Yeah.
How can you start to develop that confidence? How can you build that up?
I think for me personally, it really, you have to deal with your internal feelings first. Because usually when we don't want to do something, it's really, we want to avoid the fear. Usually when we don't want to do anything, we keep avoiding fears, because then, especially when it comes to videos, right? We, as much as we every day we tell ourselves, okay, I have this message to say to my audience, I want to talk about this. But then when you think about, oh, I think I will sound worse, I don't know what to, my articulation is not good, my English is not good. Basically, those are all fears that you are having at the back of your mind. So it's really, when you avoid fear, it definitely keeps you idle. It will left you with even more fear and anxiety to deal with, actually, in the first place. So then when you avoid all this, you have more fear, you have more anxiety, then it will be resulted in missed opportunity or
Yeah.
missed potential, I would say. So then you need to, maybe if I can share some of the tips, that usually what I do is think about the sense of relief when you are taking that action. Like, for example, recording a videos. So we should basically focus on, when we take the action, that will actually completely eliminate the fear. Instead of focusing on the stress and anxiety, we should definitely be focusing on the relief that is going to take place after you overcome all the hurdles that is standing in the way of our goals, let's say, whether you want to record videos or basically any goals that you want when you are running a business. And whether it's myself or any other business who have been in front of the camera, we all start scared. We all we were all scared back then. We are all scared. So we tend to overlook that the fact even the most confident people still experience fear. If we cannot eliminate fear, then we have to understand how to operate better despite the fear that we might face along the way. You definitely need to, if you have that fear being in front of the camera, probably you can think something, okay, if I were to say out this message to my audience, they are able to have that kind of the solutions to their problems. So it's definitely not about you. It's about the person behind that's actually watching your videos itself. And talking about fear, I also want to share that fear is not our enemy. Think about how much stress and energy is wasted from just constantly going on the against the opposing side. So you have to internally befriend that fear. When you befriend that fear, you learn how to keep it dormant, and then you don't negotiate with fear. You have the power to, like, okay, let's go today, record videos. So basically, it's really have to begin from within first. The other tips that maybe you read or you watch out there, like, for example, practice, keep smiling. I think those are things that can be done once you break that fear. So always have the internal, I wouldn't say, for me, myself, even, in fact, like, how many videos I've been creating, every time I want to create a videos, okay, maybe, should I create these videos? Then will my audience be able to understand what I'm saying about? Whether then when I have that kind of like imposter syndrome, or I have that kind of questions or doubts, what I did is I will ask my audience what they want to see from my videos, what they want. It's all about what they want, not about myself. Yeah. So always deal with that internal feelings, mindset, fears first before we go into the technical portion of wanting to be confident. Because once you break that fear, you will naturally be confident.
Yeah. That's great. That was jam packed with tips. And I think I got the most of them. I'm just going to say them back to you because
Yes.
I just thought they were
Okay.
gold.
Test number 2.
Test number 2. God, it's
Test
just
number
a
2.
series of tests this episode. Right. So the first one, think of the relief when you
Yeah.
take the action. We all start scared.
Yes.
Thought that was really powerful. We
Yes.
all start scared. Focus on the audience, not yourself. Focus
Yeah.
on the service you are giving to your audience. Fear is not our enemy. Befriend the fear and keep it
Yes.
dormant. That was another powerful one. And if the fear is coming up again, which it probably will, it will rear
Yeah,
its
it is.
ugly head all the time, go back to what your audience wants.
Yeah.
So the thing that popped up for me was like, go back to that service idea. You are in service of others. I
That's right.
loved that. They were such gold. Did I pass the
Yay.
test?
Yes, you
Yeah.
did.
That's the main thing.
Correct.
Okay. So we're coming towards the end.
Mm.
I want to just get just your top 3 tips. If someone is listening to this and wants to show up on camera next week or tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, what would be your 3 top tips, Renee?
I think I mentioned it just now also, but I'm just going to reiterate. Avoid fear at all costs, as in befriend that fear,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, we all start scared. And then another point, I think it's very important to have that dedicated space, because then you won't have the time or space in your brain to think, where should I set up my camera? Because once you have a dedicated space, it's give you the instant action that you are going to
Mm.
create that videos. And last but not least, is definitely, it's not about you. It's about what you have to say. It's about what your message is for your audience. And let me give you a fourth one, which is a
Ooh,
bonus tip.
bonus.
It's okay to mess up. I think something brands are afraid of is messing up. If I may share a story, when I first started recording videos, I was looking like a robot. I was not blinking. I was not smiling. I was just like looking in the camera and just talk it out. And then I had the hard truth comment from my friends and my family members. They were saying, "Why are you looking like a robot? Why are you not blinking in the camera?" I was like, oh. So that is the mess that I created last time. And it's okay to make that mess. It's okay, because then with those mess, with those mistakes, you are able to learn and you can create better videos. You can create more consistent and positive videos.
I love that. I love that bonus tip. Don't be
Yes.
afraid to make mistakes.
Yes.
It's good. It's all learning.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So last question.
Mm.
You know that six comms, my business,
Yes.
there's 6 C's in six comms and they stand for connection, curiosity, compassion, clarity, customization, and consistency. Renee, which one C do you think is most important when showing up positively in front of the camera and why?
Right. Okay. And if you are listening to this podcast, I'm sure you have been hearing this word quite a lot between our conversation, myself and Lisa. I choose connection, because having that connection between yourself and your audience is just one video away. So create that videos, because that will then create the connection, create the trust, create the authority, and definitely create and build the confidence that you want when it comes to creating videos.
That's lovely. Thank you. So you've chosen connection.
Connection,
That's
yes.
my favorite, actually, connection.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on and being a guest. It's been a pleasure and just so many great tips and nuggets that you shared.
Thank you, Lisa, for inviting me, and wish you all the best for your business and also the community that you have been building every single day, the connection that you are giving out or putting out on LinkedIn, on your podcast. I think it's really great. And thank you so much for having me. Yes.
Oh, just a pleasure. A pleasure. Thank you.